Clownfish, clownfish, bitchcock, bitchcock, clownfish, clownfish, bitchcock, bitchcock.
Well, hello, all you beautiful boys and girls and all those in between. My name is Melina Bitchcock, and I want to welcome you to a fantastic another episode of Bitch Talk with Bitchcock, a queer talk show where I get to interview some of the best queer performers from all over. I'm so excited because we have a beautiful young drag performer who's coming on our platform to spill all the tea, all the way from Vancouver, Washington, the one and only Crystal Ballgina.
Hey everyone, it's the resident gutter slut of Vancouver. How are you doing?
Ooh, bitch, I love that description. Gutter slut. Yes, queen.
Yeah.
How are you doing over there?
Managing the heat, barely, but I've got like 3 fans going all on me and it's doing its thing.
Fans only. Yes. Well, I'm so excited to have you on the show, and I cannot wait to dive into the bulk of this interview. How have you been surviving this last year?
I've been doing a lot of 9-to-5 jobs, working at Safeway. I've been going to as many shows as I can since they started up again. I've been trying to support the queens where I can, support the kings, support all the performers.
Absolutely, and I love that so much. Well, bitch, I cannot wait to dive into the bulk of this interview. Yes.
Let's get into it.
Start at the very beginning, which probably wasn't very long ago, because what are you, 12?
Pretty much.
What is your first exposure to drag itself?
So my first exposure to drag was Willem on YouTube, the first ever season of Beat Down. I want to say it was on The Stylish originally, before he got his own channel. And then from there, I actually was the president of the GSA club at my high school, and I started a drag day where everyone got to come into school and drag, and that was a lot of fun. And
okay,
then,
wait. We have to comment on that before we go any further. So drag day, did like the teachers come in drag?
I wish. No, it was just the students in the GSA club themselves, but the teachers gave us their full support, which was really, really nice.
And how did the school support it? A lot of students come out also?
A lot of the students were pretty impressed, I will say for the least. But it is a very small town growing up in Longview, so it was really like conservative Republican town. But the way it was accepted was really shocking to me.
What was it about drag itself that made you want to start drag?
It was the creative process, honestly, seeing the transformation from one to the other. That is what got me started into doing it. That's what really captured my attention. And it's a magical form of art that I think everyone should be able to enjoy, whether they are enjoying it by participating in it or just by watching and supporting.
Absolutely. The power of shape-shifting is always the best. And I think that's one reason why I do it, is that, you can turn from an awkward, insecure person into this powerful being.
Which honestly, I think is why Mystique is one of my absolute favorite X-Men ever, because of her shape-shifting ability. She could literally do anything, be anyone, and she still can kill it while her skin is blue.
And she's a Marvel nerd. I think I might be in love, boys and girls. Well, I love it. Mystique was also one of my favorites. And even though she played either the neutral or the bad guy, I was always so attracted to her because, she always just knew how to blend in. And she had that power that I think a lot of, especially queer people or queens, really desired.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
So at what point did you actually start doing drag full-time as a performer?
So full-time, I want to say started about 2 years ago, but I had my first show when I was 17. That was at the Escape in Portland. That was, oh God, it was July something. The theme was like beach party. And so I borrowed my sister's two-piece bathing suit and my aunt's like little sundress, and then was like, oh well, this would be cute to reveal into. No hips, no boobs, no tights, no nothing. It was a mess, but I had fun.
And you said you were 17.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That itself, I remember I played with drag once in my probably teens for Halloween. It was the only time I could get away with it. But like,
Right.
I love that you went out there and started as a performer in your teens. How do you feel like the community accepted you as a younger queen?
I feel like they were really open and accepting about it because, I mean, the escape club itself was for all ages. It was for everyone to go and have fun and experience the queer nightlife without having to surround yourself with alcohol and everything, which I really enjoy that. And I wish there was more places like the escape.
So tell me a little bit. You have such a fabulous name, Crystal Ballgina. How did you get that name?
So I'm very, very witchy. So I wanted something to represent that. So crystal, because I work a lot with stones and everything. And then for the last name, I just wanted something that would really like catch people's attention, make them laugh, make them think. And my mom, my birth mom actually was the one that came up with Ballgina. And I was like, okay.
Oh my God, that's fabulous though. Like your mom actually came up with your last name.
Yep. And so I was like, well, it's already perfect because crystal ball, witches work with crystal balls sometimes. And then I'm a drag queen, Ballgina. I'm going from boy to girl. So it's perfect.
I think it's beautiful. Now, you mentioned you started so young. How old are you now?
I am 22. I will be 23 in November.
So you've been doing drag about 4 years?
Just about. After the escape, I actually started a show with my drag sister called The Beehive. Or well, she started it and she asked me to be a part of it. And that was an 18 and over show, which also was a lot of fun. That was the first Saturday of every month, I believe. And that for a little over a year, almost 2.
Oh, that's fabulous. And who was that with?
My sister Bumblebee, definitely. And I thrive better with a live audience, which is why I haven't tried to do any of these digital shows. I love them, and I'm glad that it's worked for so many performers, but it's just an avenue that does not work for me and my art style.
I totally get it. Digital is fun when we had to do it, but like we feed off that energy from the audience and we need that. So totally get that. Now, back to you, because this is all about you. You mentioned that your style's a little bit edgy. Would you say like you're a drag monster?
I would definitely say more of a drag monster than a drag queen. Lately, I've been trying to be more androgynous with my looks, trying to blend more of a like different side of Crystal that no one gets to see. So I say that my feminine side is Crystal, and then I have like an alternate persona, Dusty Ballgina.
Oh, I love it. So you're a versatile drag performer.
Yes, I haven't had a chance to perform as Dusty yet, but I've been building stuff up and I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, I love that actually. I'm personally scared to perform as a boy on stage. I think a lot of my power comes from my femininity, but like anyone that has that ability to be not just versatile in the bedroom, but versatile on stage, that's talent. That's super talent. So good for you, bitch.
Definitely. Like it reminds me of people like Craven Valentine who can just go from very feminine to very masculine just like that. And I've watched them with their journey and it's amazed me.
I know they are a truly creative and talented performer. And I can just say between me and you, that they're on the season with you.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know what? Tell me a little bit what goes into creating like a signature crystal look.
Lots of blush, lots and lots of blush, like almost like rosacea sunburn level, and then lots of glitter, and then just a huge raccoon ring of just color for eyeshadow. And
I
then
love
usually like a nude lip, but today I totally forgot to even put on lips, but who cares? I still look good.
it's a nude lip. It's just super nude.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and you do something that I don't see with a lot of queens, but I kind of like love it because you mentioned that you do that sunburn look with your makeup, but you also like blush your nose. And I wish I knew how to do that because every time I try to like blush my nose, it don't look pretty. But on you, this is gorgeous.
Thank you. It definitely took a lot of practice. My makeup since before the pandemic has changed a lot. Like I cut out foundation and contour for like a good year, and I just now have recently started to get back into doing it just because I wanted to give my face a break, because for that good chunk of time I wasn't on stage, wasn't doing anything. I was just doing looks either for Instagram or like a little eyeshadow look for work, because during the time that we had to wear masks, all you could see was just this part of my face. So there was no real point in doing a whole look. And so from there, I've just started building this face.
Well, it's a beautiful face, and I absolutely am digging it. Now, besides makeup, when we talk about a signature style, what can we expect from like wardrobe and wigs from you?
So I definitely love any sort of side part with a wig. I'm definitely more of a millennial in that way. I definitely like black skin tight clothes, anything with fishnets, anything revealing. That's definitely the Crystal style.
I love that. You sounds like you're a little bit rock and roll with your, you know, your looks.
Definitely like 80s and 90s grunge, like punk.
Oh, girl, you just like said the right words for me.
Yeah, anything ripped jeans I live for, especially if you throw a pair of fishnets under that or just some sort of safety pin anywhere on it. Flannel, just rip it up, make it fucking dirty and sexy, and I am here for it.
See, speaking of flannel, you must love Adore Delano then.
Yes, she is definitely one of my like top queens.
Oh, absolutely. You know, she has a style, and I think she kind of redefined what drag was by being on Drag Race, which I'm so thankful of because she says that kind of grunge style and that rock and roll look that you know me and you understand, but maybe not the general audience, is now starting to be accepted and become mainstream.
Right. She definitely is a major influence on my style and how much it has changed over the years. The fact that she can run around without a corset and not give a fuck and just wear whatever is definitely where I get a lot of my passion from, is doing that.
I love that. I love that so much. Do you ever play with gender with your looks or your character?
I try to like switch things up. I definitely prefer going without breasts usually, because I'm still not used to having these silicone breastplates, and the amount of sweat that builds up underneath this shit. Girl. Ugh. I'm glad they're
I get
natural.
it. Well, fabulous. Now, out of all your looks, do you have a favorite that you have within your wardrobe?
I have one, and it was actually made by one of my old coworkers from when I was working at Fred Meyer down in Tigard. It's this Greek goddess, Chaton. It's purple and it's see-through and it's very, very sexy. I wore it for Comic Con in Portland back in 2019, and I've worn it a few times for a few shows, and it's one of my favorite outfits to do a reveal in. I'll wear like either like just a bra and panties with a corset, and like thigh-high fishnets and laced up boots, and just take that chiffon off and just reveal that, and it makes everyone go nuts.
Come on, naughty goddess. I love it. The goddess of sexy reveals. So, how do you feel like drag has changed or affected your life through the years?
It has affected my life in so many different ways. It has helped me become so much more outgoing of a person. It has helped me embrace more of myself. It helped me come out as non-binary, and the way that I'm able to just blend everything together has definitely helped me realize more of myself, and I appreciate it.
How do you feel like being non-binary has affected your drag?
It has definitely made me appreciate more not giving a fuck, honestly. It has helped me realize that I don't have to shave and people will still like the way I look. I can go out there with no boobs, no hips, and everyone will still like it. I can literally go out full body and still have like a full on like beard, goatee, whatever. And everyone's like, yes, bitch, work. I think one of the other things that has really helped me not really give a fuck was I did a show back in 2018 in Longview, I believe it was. And I had been doing my number, and I heard someone in the audience would say, oh, she'd be prettier if she shaved her armpits. And from that point on, I refused to shave. I just, why? There's no point.
You know, I've tried to. My empress was Facetious Farce, and if you've never met her, she's definitely kind of that style too. And I think someone made a comment to her once, and she kind of had a similar revelation. And I think all drag is valid, and especially when you are depicting what you kind of understand as femininity. And not all fucking females shave their armpits, y'all. You know, some females have facial hair, so stop your judgments because everyone's beautiful. And you know what? I love you and I love your drag with your fur and all. So tell me a little bit, what can we expect from a Crystal Ballgina performance?
So now that things have actually opened up, I can actually go back to my whole interacting with the audience the way I like to. Whenever it comes to like receiving tips and whatnot, I will take a moment out of my number to thank that person in some way, shape, or form, whether it be stopping to lip sync just to that one person or dance for them, or by mouthing thank you as I like take the money from him and like just make it personal for them somehow. That's how I've always tried to do a show. I love hearing the audience just roar with excitement. I love just the feel of the vibe of everything. It's amazing.
Absolutely. The adrenaline that we get when on stage, and especially when we connect with the audience like that, it definitely is a feeling that's hard to describe. So tell me a little bit, do you do anything crazy on stage, such as like the slams, those high kicks, or any death drops or anything like that?
I definitely love a good power slide. It's definitely ripped up a few of my types while doing it and giving me a few bloody knees, but you live and learn. Definitely love outfit reveals. Now that I have
Now, what kind of music do you tend to be attracted to when you're picking a performance?
so I'm definitely, like I said earlier, my vibe is very like 80s, 90s, like grunge and punk and whatnot. But I definitely like any sort of 80s like pop number. So like Pat Benatar, any sort of Blondie or Joan Jett. Joan Jett is definitely hands down one of the most like influential people in my life. Like the first songs I ever remember hearing from being little was I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
I love that you have such an appreciation, especially for like that early grunge rock.
And when I'm not doing the like 80s feel, I definitely am like a Lady Gaga fan. I'm huge. Like my favorite number by her to do is either Government Hooker or Judas. Like
Oh my
I
God,
will use my goddess outfit for the Judas number and like just kill it.
I love that, Miss Thing. Now, do you ever host shows or get on the microphone and interact with the audience?
So I hosted or co-hosted for that little over a year with Bumblebee for the Beehive.
Well, some videos have a expectation of what drag is, and you just have to keep pushing their boundaries and opening their minds. Now, when you're on the microphone and hosting a show or interacting, what's your personality like on the microphone?
So I definitely like to have a more upbeat, like jokey personality on the mic. I like to interact everyone, not just the performers, but the audience as well. It has been a while since I have been on the mic, so I probably am a little rusty, but I definitely wouldn't mind hosting another show here and there.
Ooh. Now, do you consider yourself a funny queen?
Funny looking sometimes.
So, what do you think your sense of humor is like?
A lot of the times I have like that dad humor. I definitely have like a sense for a good pun. I definitely also have like a dirty sense of mind at times. So that definitely kicks in a lot of the time.
I love that. I've always been a big fan of kind of the edgy, kind of boundary pushing humor, as long as you're being respectful and not, crossing boundaries you shouldn't be. I do kind of, I used to be a fan of, God, what is her name from the 90s? She was on Roseanne, um, Sandra Bernhard. And
Mhm.
she's a lesbian and she has this very dry but like almost boundary pushing sense of humor that almost makes it like okay because she has this like she's sweet, she's delicate, and then she kind of just like rips into you, and I love that.
I definitely enjoy that kind of humor. That definitely a lot of queens have that like sense of, oh, I'm sweet and sweet, blah blah blah, but then oh, I can get you just like that.
Now, Crystal, you've been spilling all the tea and we're having a fantastic interview. I think it's time for me to get shady. And are you ready to play a game?
I love games. Let's do it.
Well, we're going to play a Bitch Talk with Bitchcock favorite, what we like to call Marry, Kai Kai, or Cancel. And how this is going to work is I'm going to list 3 names at a time. And out of those 3 names, you need to pick who you like to marry, who you like to Kai Kai with, and who you wouldn't mind seeing their shows get canceled. Are you ready?
I'm ready, girl. Let's do it.
So I'm going to make this a little hard. I chose a lot of your friends, your sisters, your family. So for number 1, we have Craven Valentine. Ooh, so handsome. Bougie Cherry. What a talent. And Amy to Kill. Ooh, girl, Kai Kai.
Ooh, this is so hard because I love all 3 of them. I would marry Craven.
Ooh, good choice.
I would. I would Kai Kai Amy.
Ooh,
I love
girl.
canceled.
Oh my gosh, you can't like cancel like an injured drag queen.
Love you, girl. Sorry.
For number 2, we have Bastila Dodd,
My cousin.
Lilac, the Queen of Hair, and Babylon Brooks. Ooh.
Oh, definitely Kai Kai Babylon.
Oh, good choice. Oh yeah.
marry Lilac because the bitch needs some good hair.
Smart.
And again, I love you, cousin, but Bastilla, you're canceled.
Oh, Bastilla. Love it. Now for number 3 in your last round of Mary Kai Kai or Cancel, we have the one and only from Camp Wanakiki, Diana Fire, the beautiful and talented Portland nightlife queen, Britt Neon, and, well, Kimberly Michelle Westwood. No one special.
Ooh. See, you threw my sister in there.
I know, I'm a shady bitch.
I got to definitely marry my sister. I love her. It'd be a little weird, but marry Britt. I would. Kai Kai with Diana. Love.
Yes.
And, sorry, Kimberly, but you're canceled.
I mean, someone had to cancel her, right?
Right? Someone.
Well, that was so much fun. And I love that you just totally spilled all the tea with Mary Kai Kai or Cancel. Dive back into this interview. Now, tell me a little bit, what is the drag scene out in Portland and Vancouver?
Yes.
What is it like out there for you?
So right now, things are definitely open in Portland. We've got Local Lounge, we've got Star Theater, we've got CC Slaughters. Right now, Vancouver is waiting until things open up a little bit more, and then they'll start doing shows. But before the pandemic, we were doing shows at places like Six West. We were doing places like Heathens Brewing, which I did a brunch show there with, her name's now Jacqueline St. Clair Butte. And then it was Jack, myself, Craven, and she's really fucking pretty, and I'm totally drawing a blank on her name. I'll remember it later, and I feel so terrible by drawing a blank on it, but she was gorgeous. She was also a younger queen.
Well, speaking of younger queens, do you feel like Portland's accepting for, that younger, fresh off the boat, let's say, queen that comes into the scene? Are they accepting? Is it easier for you to get gigs? Tell me a little bit of the tea.
I definitely feel like they are more accepting to the idea of youth performers. Like Shima, for example, when she was running for, I think it was Rose Empress, she had reached out specifically to the youth and held an event specifically for them to just get their side of everything. And I definitely think that's important. I have had a little bit of a hard time getting gigs, but I think that's the general consensus with everyone right now. Everything's opening up and they're trying to get everyone booked where they can, but there's only so many places at the moment. So doing what we can.
Absolutely, babe. And don't give up because, it's hard, especially right now, as you mentioned, because everyone's trying to get those gigs, but, keep going out there, support the gigs that, are around you. And keep evolving because eventually, you're still young. You still have plenty of time to impress the world and get on Dragula and make them all gag.
Thank you.
Absolutely. See, I'm really loving the absolutely these days. Now, you have a drag family?
Yes, I am part of the Chiari Coven. It was started by Ryan Cub Chiari. And it has Britt Neon, Bumblebee Chiari, myself, Crystal Ballgina Chiari, and Logan Frost Chiari.
Oh my goodness. A lot of you over there. Now, how do you feel like having a drag family has helped you?
It has definitely given me a sense of belonging. I get along great with my birth family, but I get along so much more with my chosen family because they know more of what I've gone through because they themselves have gone through it as well. Being queer and being in the performance life, they know what it's like. And so I definitely am very, very appreciative of that, even though now we don't exactly talk to each other. I mean, me and Britt and Bumble, we talk a lot more nowadays than we did for a little while back, but it's definitely a really great sense of family that I appreciate.
I love that. And I think part of like doing drag is finding your tribe of people who have a similar like-minded view of what drag is to them and are willing to support you on your journey. Do you feel like you get a lot of support from your drag family?
Oh, absolutely. I almost every single show that I have been in or been a part of has been with either Brit or Bumble in some form. And they root for me and I root for them, and we've got each other's backs like what family should be.
I love that. I always considered myself kind of a drag orphan. I never had a drag mom or anything. I always consider most of the people I meet along my way my drag sisters, especially if I'm super close to you. So I find it very beautiful that you're so young and you're already finding your tribe like that, because some of us go forever without, building that tribe.
My first ever show at the Escape was actually with Brit, and from that point on it's just been her and I just doing everything together, and I love it.
I love that too. Now, tell me a little bit. Do you feel like drag has helped you in the confidence department, not just when you're in drag, but when you're your regular self also?
Oh, definitely. When I'm at work, like helping out customers and whatnot, it's definitely helped me be a lot more of an outgoing person. Like before, I'd just wait until the person came up to me and be like, "Hi, how are you doing today?" Now I will literally like walk around the store, and be like, "Hi there, how you doing? Finding everything all right? Hey, if you need this, it's right over there." Things like that. It definitely has given me a more positive outlook on things out of drag, and I
I
am
like that.
deeply for it.
I totally get that. I always say that drag's kind of like our armor, but in certain cases, it can also be like training wheels. So, as we're discovering ourselves and our drag characters and becoming confident as a queen, we can kind of use those as training wheels in our everyday life by, how to overdo horrible people or how to smile and grin it on a bad day. And, I think drag definitely teaches those hard lessons sometimes.
Definitely.
Now, talk to me a little bit more. You mentioned earlier that you are non-binary and that drag actually helped you discover it. Do you mind telling us a little more? What was it about your journey in drag that helped you discover being non-binary?
So when I first started doing drag, I just thought it was just for, well, not really just for cis white. Not, no, no. Hold on. When I first started, I thought it was just men who dressed like women. I did not realize that there were trans people that participated in the art of drag. I didn't realize there was biological women who performed in the art of drag, AFAB performers. It definitely was like it's literally for everyone. So why not just be okay with myself and like explore that more? And that's how it has helped big time.
I love that so much. I feel like, especially non-binary people, it can kind of sometimes be hard because people don't always understand it. They think, oh, what's that mean? And non-binary can almost mean something different for each and every person who identifies as non-binary, as we mentioned, like genderqueer, bigender, or non-binary. And for me, I consider myself non-binary because I think there's a male and female in my brain. and I do feel like two different people. So I mean, I definitely love that how non-binary is becoming a mainstream thing and it's becoming more accepted.
Definitely. And the way I see myself, I see both the masculine and the feminine, but I don't see a clear definition of the two for myself. I just see a blend of both, and I see that as how it makes me who I am.
You know, I always say when you start to mix the colors, you sometimes get some of the most beautiful colors that you could ever discover.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. So, is it true that you used to dress in drag back in high school to protest female dress code?
Yes. My sophomore year, no, junior year of high school, I had just recently switched schools from one high school to another in Longview, and both schools, the dress code was just absolutely ridiculous, specifically towards female students. It was so much more restricting. Like, one rule, for example, shorts and skirts and things like that couldn't be shorter than 2 inches above the knee. Like, anything shorter than that, you had to like immediately find something else to wear or go home and come back, things like that. Whereas for boys, just no vulgarity. And that was it. I was like, that's extremely sexist, and that needs to change. Granted, me going in drag didn't change anything, but it did start a conversation.
Oh, and how did the school, especially being like the first time that you came out in drag, how did they accept that?
They honestly didn't even know how to approach the situation, because that has never happened in Longview before, having someone show up to school in drag to protest the dress code. So they just kind of went with it blindly.
And did they know that you were actually, the reason you were doing it was as a protest?
Once one teacher came up to me and asked me why I was doing it, and I did explain to her that it was to protest the dress code, and she like took a moment and she was like, I can respect that. You do you, go right ahead. And so she explained to the rest of the staff that day that that's exactly what I was doing.
I love that, bitch. I love that more and more of you younger people, especially going through high school, you're finding your voice at such a young age, where my generation, it was scary to come out in high school. Like, I came out at 16, but it was terrifying. And to have a voice like that and to go into school and drag, like, I've heard queens talk about it, but like, I think about where I went to school in very rural areas because I was raised out in Medford, Central Point. And to go in those schools would almost terrify me. So, bitch, you got some balls or something, and I admire it. What was that?
I said I got some Ballginas.
Ballginas, yes, I love that. Now, are there any females that have majorly helped inspire you along the way to who the drag character you are today?
I've definitely been influenced by people like Joan Jett, people like Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, Kesha. I've also been influenced by comic book characters like Mystique, Rogue, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch. She's like one of my absolute favorite characters in the Marvel universe.
What do you love about her?
Just the chaos. I am definitely a chaotic person, and I thrive in any sort of chaotic energy, and I definitely love that she gives that off. Like, her energy literally is chaos magic, and it gives me excitement.
I like that kind of idea of thriving through chaos. So I totally get it. I love that so many of our queer people are attracted to not just comics, but specifically Marvel comics. For me, I've always been a Fantastic Four person and was always obsessed with the Invisible Woman. And not for that generic answer where I don't want to be seen, I want to be invisible. That bitch was powerful. She was one of the most dangerous of the Fantastic Four because she could create a force field inside you and expand it and explode you. She could put a bubble around your head and suffocate you. So, like, I always loved her because she looked meek, she looked shy and dainty, but she was like a force to be fucking reckoned with.
And see, women like that are what rule the world, and I love it. And characters like that are just definitely a huge influence in my life. And something about Marvel has always spoken to me, like specifically the X-Men. I feel like they're a huge representation of what it's like to be queer or a person of color growing up in America, someone who's not accepted and just beaten down, and they still fight through it because that's how they are. They're meant to survive and thrive.
Absolutely. And I think that's why shows like the X-Men or a lot of those superheroes that we look up to have been so influential, especially to the queer culture, because it shows that you can have people who are fighting against you. You have people who will try to just tear every bit about how you are born down. And all you can do is just rise above it and be a superhero. Now, my love, do you feel like there's a major personality change from your everyday self to when you become your drag character?
There's a little bit of a change, but I wouldn't say there's a drastic difference. I'm definitely one of those people that likes to give the same energy throughout life, no matter what. I get how people use drag as that armor and that superhero ability to just do whatever it is that they do. I use that to the best of my advantage, but I don't hide behind my drag self because I am my drag self. It is my art, and I wear it because it is me.
Yes, bitch, that is just beautifully said. And I do think even myself, a lot of us do hide behind our drag characters because they get the most praise, they get the most likes. And I get that's a beautiful feeling, but it's also kind of a false feeling because it's not it is a part of who you are, but it's not necessarily who you are as a person. Because a lot of us, the characters that we project when we're in drag are not truly who we are out of drag. It's usually like a very over the top persona.
Right.
Now, my love, tell me a little more about some major highlights you've been able to do within your drag career.
So within my drag career, I've been able to not only host an all 18 and over show. I was on cast for an all ages show in Vancouver. I got to perform at UW at a pop-up show at the college back in 2019, just out of nowhere, which I think either Seattle or Fife was the furthest I've ever traveled for a gig so far. I've worked with so many local queens, and I've met so many amazing, talented people that I get to call friends that it's helped so much.
I love that. I know you mentioned in the pre-interview, one of the major highlights you said you really appreciated was being able to work with the Lipstick Divas.
Oh, yes. When I was living in Longview, I had to constantly drive to Portland or Vancouver just to even be able to be booked for a show. But then I kept hearing about the traveling group, the Lipstick Divas, and Jared and all of that. And I found out that they actually have done shows in Longview several times at the Regent. And Jared reached out to me before I turned 21. He was like, I want you to be able to perform with us when we come to Longview. So let me know when you turn 21 and we'll get you booked. And so as soon as I turned 21, just a week after my birthday, they came to Longview and I got to perform with them. And he told me anytime that they go back there, he wants me to be part of the show.
We love that. Definitely a legendary group that travels all over to share the beautiful art of drag. So, I mean, definitely an honor. I love that. Now, speaking of honors, I hear that when you're back in high school, you didn't just go and do drag and protest. You didn't just do an international drag day throughout school. You also created up to, I mean, 3 different GSAs in 3 different schools. What was that like?
So Longview had a GSA before I went into high school, but it died down really, really quickly because Longview is not really that open and accepting of a town. And I wanted to change that. And so when I had originally moved over to Mark Morris from RA Long, I found out that they had a very, very small GSA club that was running that only like 3 or 4 people went to. And I was like, oh, I want to join. Let me come. And so I got started and they immediately voted me in as vice president that year to help revamp everything. And then that very next year, they bumped me up to president. And that's when I started the whole drag day and protesting the dress code and everything. And when I became president, I was like, well, we're doing great at this school, but there's still 2 other schools here in Longview that have nothing. I think that's kind of dumb. So I reached out to the principals at both schools and I said, hey, can we get something going to where like we can either have like meetings that rotate from one location to another, from this school to that school to this one, or just have it set at just one school but open to all 3, because there's a lot of LGBTQ youth in Longview that have no like outlet to go to, which is why you have to go to places like Vancouver or Portland or Seattle just to find your people, which is why I moved.
But you know, it truly sounds like you make quite a difference just with your small time out there in Longview, especially within high school. I mean, doing the drag day at school, you know, protesting and doing the creating these GSAs for not just your school, but for all the schools in your area. I mean, bitch, you're an inspiration. You're truly fighting the fight that needs to be fought from with our youth. And you know, the fact that you're doing it by yourself and just leading the charge, it's very inspirational, and I admire that.
Thank you. I definitely had always wanted that, like I said, that outlet to like just be myself. And so I realized that if that outlet isn't already there, then bitch, you got to do it yourself because no one else is going to do it. Why are you waiting around?
Amen. I love that so much, my love. Now we're pretty close to the end of the interview. We got a couple of more questions here. Can you tell me why you think drag is actually personally important to you?
Ooh. It has helped shape me to become who I am as a person. It has helped like open my eyes to this new art form, and it just, not having it in my life would definitely make me a different person. I definitely would not be as confident as I am. I definitely would be more of an introvert than I already am out of drag. It definitely, it's something that I know I would miss if I wasn't doing it.
You know, I've said for years that drag is probably one of the most addictive things you can probably bring into your life, because drag will completely, for anyone that lets it, take over your life. You know, for me, I remember when I first discovered it, it was like sugar. It was just such a drug that I was instantly addicted. And now, I mean, we have a 2-bedroom house, and one of our bedrooms is fully dedicated to my drag. So it's like, fuck, bitch. and I
Uh,
don't even want to go to the point where I break down everything in here and how much this room costs.
yeah, I haven't quite reached that level because I haven't been doing it as long as other performers. I've only been performing regularly, like consistently for, I'd say, 2 years of the 5 years that I've been doing it.
Oh my goodness. Well, bitch, just keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing fiercely. And, you know, I love it so much. Now, tell me a little, like, this last year has been hard for all of us. You know, within a week, I think a whole year of gigs and opportunities were wiped off the board with this pandemic and this past year. How did you overcome this pandemic this, past year?
So once everything started shutting down, I definitely was like, well, let me just have like one last hurrah. And I went out to CC Slaughter's the night that everything was closing, and I was performing at the Superstar Divas, and I just sat there and like looked at everyone, and I was like, well, I don't know when this is gonna happen again, but thank you guys. This has been great. And after that, I just started putting myself into my work and started dedicating my time to Safeway so that way I could work myself up to a position where I could actually financially start working on my drag a bit more and actually making this art more of a reality of what I can do for a source of income.
Such a smart thing to do, because too many of us get so obsessive over our drag where we want that to be our full-time job because it makes us feel good. We know we make money, but sometimes doesn't quite make enough for us to evolve. So it is necessary to get that 9 to 5, to pay for it and evolve your drag. And I think you're definitely doing the right thing. Focus on your real life, because once you're truly happy as a person, you're going to be able to blossom as a performer.
Exactly. I definitely want to take care of Neil first and Crystal second, because without Neil, there would be no Crystal.
Exactly. Remember, and I say this to any performer watching, that, if there's a separation between Neil and Crystal, I will say Christina, sorry, Crystal, remember that Neil's the puppet master and that Crystal is the puppet.
Exactly.
So tell us, honey, just 2 more questions here. What's something that we should know about your drag character that the average public might not know?
I definitely like to be more of an open book with who I am. I definitely like to have, like I said, every aspect of my life to be, this is who I am.
And something to keep in mind, especially for all of us bitches that are painted so fiercely, such as me and yourself, is, a lot of us get what we call rested bitch face, or who are outside, just trying to rest for a minute. So we have that very look. I would say something with you, you're a lot more friendlier and relatable and not as scary as you look, because you definitely have kind of that gruff, scary look sometimes, but you're such a fucking sweetheart.
Thank you. I've definitely been told I've got that RBF hard, and I like those people that are pretty yet intimidating, and that's how I've learned to do my paint. I swear I'm super nice. I just, like I said, I like to look intimidating.
And there's nothing wrong with that, bitch. Take the power and own it. Now, one last question, my love, and then we'll let you go. What can we expect next for Crystal Ballgina within her drag career?
So you will expect to not see the same thing twice. I want to start trying to do something new every time I hit that stage. Every time I put a brush to my face, I want it to be a different look than last time, different colors, different spectrum, all of that. I like change and I like chaos. And like I said, that's where I thrive. So you can expect chaos.
Oh, such a fabulous answer. Well, bitch, I got some great news for you. You survived all my interrogation and all my questions. So thank you again for coming on Bitch Talk with Bitchcock.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's definitely a good way to get my name out there. And I thank you for everything.
Absolutely, but it's such a privilege and pleasure for me to get to know each and every performer that comes to this platform, and I definitely appreciate you giving me this moment to interview you. Now, for all of you beautiful boys and girls, and all those in between, of course, if you've enjoyed this fantastic interview also, please stay tuned to the end of the credits where you will find Crystal's tipping information. Again, takes a lot of balls to come out here. Let me correct that, a lot of Ballgina to come out here and spill all the tea. Now, stay tuned because we'll also show who is coming up next for our next week interview. And I just want to say again, thank you, Crystal. We love you, and I can't wait to see more of you.
Thank you, girl. It was great.
Now, for all you beautiful people, I cannot wait to see you on our next episode of Bitch Talk with Bitchcock. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay friendly, and just be fabulous. We'll see you next time on Bitch Talk with Bitchcock. Bye, y'all.
Clownfish, clownfish, bitchcock, bitchcock. Clownfish, clownfish, bitchcock, bitchcock. Come and get your dish, come and get your dish.